Hey everyone, so this is week 5, and we're going to talk about layouts and pages and routing, also dynamic routes. Not too hard of a concept. Again, a lot of these concepts are from Web322, so it's just a different language. It's not that difficult. First, we'll just start by setting up our project as we always do, and use the latest. We'll call it Next Routing Demo, I guess. Yeah, that's okay. We'll do that. Same as before. Don't use TypeScript. You can use lint. Everything else is no. And then just run it to make sure we're good. I like that it does the. Oops. I like that it does. Uh, the auto compile when we save. It's pretty handy. Oh, what happened? Oh, it's sorry. npx run dev. Hey, what the hell? Something's wrong. What did I do? Hold on. Oh my god, I'm silly. We gotta change the directory. npm run dev. Wow, it's been a long day as per usual. Anyway, here's our site. Just test it out, make sure it works. You should get the typical Next.js screen. But like I said already, we'll be looking at static and dynamic pages, nested routes, layouts, pre-rendering, and by the end of the session, you'll have a fully functional multi-page Next.js app with like efficient navigation. So kind of cool. Anyhow, let's get started. Unlike Node and Express, or specifically Express, when we had to make our own routes, right? So if you recall, we had something like here. Let me just edit some file. Or we would have like import the Express, and then we'd have app dot get, and then whatever the route was, contact, so on and so forth, with the res and the rec, blah blah blah, right? Hopefully you remember all that. Well, in no Next and React, we don't have to do that, which is super handy. And Next will actually make the routes for us, so we don't have to, manually type these out. All we actually have to do is create the page. So inside of the pages folder, if we create a file called about.js and we add a function export default. And we're going to call it about because that's like what the route is about. Yeah, stupid. And I'm going to return just some JSX. Remember, JSX is JavaScript and HTML or XML mixed together in the same thing. So there's our about route. And if we visit the site under about, you can see we get the about page. Pretty damn simple. Pretty cool. It lets us make web pages really quickly, right? We can just keep adding these. We don't have to program too much. So it's kind of done for us. Next really does that for us. And just as you would expect, we can create subdirectories. There's an API one by default, but let's say we want to have a route that's like a dashboard. So I can say, here's a dashboard folder, and inside of here we'll do an index.js, and same thing. We can just copy and paste, right? Index, and this would be called dashboard, right? And then if we go over here, we go to dashboard. Oops. We get our dashboard page. In fact, I'll actually put it here. Dashboard. Maybe we have two files in here, right? Maybe we have two routes, preferences, whatever. And notice, it doesn't really care what your function names are called, but it does care about what your file name is called. So we could call this dashboard preference. And just to make sure it's all the same, let's do this. No, that's okay. Well, this should be home. Let's call this home. just more for our sake. So now I should be able to go to dashboard slash preference. Oh, I got 404. What happened? Oh, I called it preferences. So there we go. Right. Real simple, real simple. So much easier than Express. So that covers, making new pages relatively easy. But what about layouts and shared components? So if you remember EJS templates or handlebar templates from Web322, we had to do a lot of, installing and playing around. But this has it built in, which is kind of cool. So it allows us to share components, and components are really like how React works, like a nav bar or footer, right? So if you're at any website or any like dynamic website, you'll know if it's seeing that. I don't advocate for it, but they have a nav bar that is across all of their pages, doesn't matter what page you're on, as well as a footer. 90% of websites that are dynamic work like this. So how do we do this in Next and React? It's pretty easy. So we're going to make a components folder. And inside of here, let's just make layout.js. And then I'm going to copy and paste this in because I wrote it earlier. But basically, this is going to give us a nav bar at the top of the page and then anything else that's related to the page. But we're not quite done. We basically have to modify our entire program to accept these components. So our entire program actually runs in this underscore, but I'm not going to say runs in here, but it, underscore app.js runs every time our site starts. And we're going to import our component, which should be import layout from at where is it? Oh, I put in the wrong. Make sure it's in the root folder. I put it in the pages folder. It should be actually in our next route demo, which is the root folder. So this should pop up now. Yeah, there we go. And then layout, and that can stay the same. And then we're going to tell next that we want to use our layout component, which looks like this. We have to use brackets. Then we'll say layout. Pretty simple. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll zoom it in just a little bit. Hopefully it's better. Okay, so this should now, if I save this and I save this, we should see our nav bar. Where's my nav bar? What happened? Zoomed in too much. Hold on, let's find it. I must have screwed up something. We'll figure it out. It happens. I screwed something up here. Let's see. It's not return. Oh, okay. Hold on. Bracket. Watch your brackets in here, like this, and then no. There we go. I think that's right. No, why is it doing that? Hold on. We'll figure it out. Blah blah blah. Return bracket. Yeah, that looks right. Page props. Yeah, there we go. Watch out for typos. I guess I should have read the error. I'm always promoting that for sure. Anyway, okay, so here it is. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So notice our nav bar is right here, and anywhere we go, it automatically adds the links, which is awesome, right? It saves so much time. I didn't have to do any of this stuff by ourselves. How cool is that? Whereas if we were to do this in EJS, every time we added a new page, we'd actually have to go to the nav bar and add our own page. So once you know these systems, like in this case, React and Next or Angular or any of these types of systems, you can actually become a very quick web developer. Okay, so let's talk about dynamic routes. Sometimes we need to, you know, get data from a page. So, for example, if I'm on CNN.com and I click on World, whatever, Americas, and you can see, the URL changes, right? So there's the route. Sometimes, maybe it's going to have product ID in here if you're on Amazon or like a user name or whatever. You guys did this before in Express, but again, slightly different over here as long as you understand that, like where it's coming from. So it looks like this. So inside the pages folder, I'm going to create another folder called products. And then inside of here, maybe we'll call it product, right? Instead of plural. And then inside of here, all we have to do to get a query parameter is create a file that has brackets around it. So in this case, I'm going to call this bracket ID, just like this. And inside of here, I'm going to add, I'm going to, it's a router, okay? But it's not like the router in your house. This is like a router for the routes. And I copied and pasted this in, but basically what this is saying is import the router code from Next, and then I want to be able to get the query out of the URL and insert it into this variable. So I'm just going to do console.log ID, and hopefully if this works, I should be able to go to this page, click on product, or typing product, and then I type, whatever the product ID is, and oh, undefined. Let's see what's going on. Why did I screw up? I love when my demos screw up live. Sometimes it's funny. Not really, but yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot. So other the React people watching this video are probably like, what is he doing? I forgot that this renders server side, or sorry, client side, not server side. So we're not going to see it. Not a huge deal for right now, but if we do want to see it in the terminal, remember this is the terminal, this is the server, and over here is the client. And the way React works, their router code works client side. So this console.log will actually be shown in the browser. So if you look right here, there's the number I typed in, right? So if I type it again, you'll see it right there. But if I want to make this work server side, I have to add a slightly different code, and you'll see not a huge deal. Don't worry about it for now, but we'll circle back to it when we do some more advanced stuff. Anyhow, notice that it does say product 2322 or 2332 that we're passing, right? So it's getting that info. That does kind of it's the part that I don't really like about React because it's a lot client side, and Next is trying to make it server side, which leads us actually to our next topic, which is called pre-rendering. So the code that I wrote in here, oops, where did it go? Well, let's do an example actually instead of doing this. So we're going to talk about pre-rendering basically static pages, static path. And this would be when we want to collect data from a database. Now, again, this is where I think, again, personal opinion, um, when we're using Next to build the APIs, I think it's better in another system. We can argue that later, I guess. So the way we're rendering pages right now, we're doing some of the work on the server, but then we'll render it over in the user's browser. But there's going to be cases where we want to render the entire page on the server and then send it to the browser because we're going to contact a database, use some kind of JSON, and then we want to update it, right? So I'll just show example code. We'll make a new page called post. Or actually, we'll do a new folder called post, right? And then we'll do ID. Sorry, it's just ID.js. So that means we'll be able to go to page and then whatever the post is called, which we'll do like 17. Right? It's not going to work yet, but you'll see. And inside of the ID.js, we're going to dump some code in here, but this is basically how it works. So our function, this getStaticProps, it's going to reach out to this website, whatever JSON placeholder. It's just a demo API, and it's going to return, fake data, and it's going to put it into this data and then return the data to our static page, which will in turn be down here, and we can take the variables from post and just insert it into our website. So if I save this and go back to this page, you should see. What did I do wrong? I'm always doing something wrong here. Yeah, I can hear people screaming. It's post. The URL's post, not pages. Oh, sometimes I'm silly. Um, I have a setting called fallback. I'm gonna show you this. Where did it go? Yeah, right here. So with this setting, it actually won't let me load post 17. It only lets me load post 1 through 3. That's just a default. But yeah, notice. So here's our page. So this hits another API and downloads the data, inserts it into our page, which is kind of cool. So that's pretty much it. Be careful because you witness me doing these live errors, and they were kind of difficult to find. I had to take a minute to go look. It's been a minute since I've done it before or done it in a while, but effectively, you should know how to do routes, layout components, dynamic routes with parameters, and query parameters, and pre-rendering with on a static page. Not too difficult, but good to know. Anyway, have a great day.